this point, we'll meet next.
Okay.
So
At this point, we will meet next week. But right now, I know there was some comments in reference to the notes from the Vegas convention. I guess Andre didn't see them. I don't know. They went out to all of the DMs. So everything that's in there is what we're working from and where where international is headed. If it's something that the DMs do not agree with, then you have your method in which you can make your disagreement. But at this point, this is where we're going. And basically, if it's not what you want to do, then you need to look at whether or not you still want to be a DM or be involved, because this is the route that we're taking. And I say that to say we need to show a united front. So as DMs, as international, you need to help your chapter to understand where international is going. I'm not getting that from all of Georgia, and that's just me. I don't know what everybody else sees, but I'm not getting that from Georgia. So if there's something that we need to discuss here, then let me know, and I can be the liaison to discuss that at our meeting next week, as far as our international officers meeting next week. But
Tia, real quick,
we did have representatives, and we sent out information for individuals to be represented at the convention so that it could be discussed. Everything at the convention was we voted on, we talked about it, we discussed it, and then that was the plan to move forward. I'm sorry,
Tia,
Andre, you were saying something?
Yeah, I was saying, saying send it to me, but the issue was I wasn't added to that group. San finally got it to me. I wasn't a part of that. I guess it's a global group or whatever it is. San sent it to me, so now I have the notes. But prior to, I'm not a part of that group. And I looked in my direct message, and I think the executive DM, he had inboxed me, but I don't check direct message like that about adding me to that. So that's the reason why I didn't have the notes from the international from that convention. That was my first time seeing when San sent them to me.
Okay, so you said you received a request to be added, but you didn't see that. So, and I know you sent me your email, but you didn't send Scooter's email. So that's what I've been waiting on.
Oh yeah, I got it now. I'm talking about previously. I can't call his name right now.
Be Smooth.
Yeah.
Or Smooth B.
Smooth.
Yeah,
Be Smooth is the deputy executive. He's number 3. He's right under Nate.
Okay, he sent it to me in the group me direct message, which you know how that is. If you don't check that stuff, you're not gonna see it. So so now I have those notes, and I'm gonna send you Scooters as well. But prior to that, I didn't have anything from the convention, which is the reason why I was not able to give my chapter full explanation of where we are. But as international is heading, so I have those now. Thanks, Sam, for sending those to me, and I have to get with B Smooth to get added. But you
don't. That's what I'm telling you. You don't have to get with him. Once you give me Scooter's address, I can get both of you all added.
Okay, I got his now.
I'm not in that particular group, but it takes nothing for me to get you added. But I just need to have both of your, I don't want to send yours and then have to go back and send his. If you send me his, then I can just do it at the same time. Because I know you sent yours, and I've been waiting to get his so that I can send it to you. But those notes, basically, if you read through the notes, 7 pages of notes and 4 or 5 pages of the actual presentation, if you read through the notes, it's as if you were sitting there. And that's the way I put them out there like that, so that those who were not present, you will get everything that we got, besides the laughs and the drinks while we were there. But that way is you see everything that we had, and you have the discussion. So And now that you have it, then that helps so that you can see where GTG International is trying to go at this point. So and again, if you all from this meeting, if you have something you want me to take back or to have them to address, then I can do that during our international officers meetings as well.
I have a question.
Yes.
So I would like to ask to make sure that everybody else's DMs, ADM is on that listserv. So Kenyatta, I know, Short Dog, I know is because he got the same message that the DMs got. I do believe, yes. Kenyatta, I think you got it also, but is your ADM on that listserv? And if not, Tia needs that information so yours can be added, and then Tia, mine need to be added also. So if you could add Jane.
Okay, so I need for you. You can text me the information, but just telling me to add that person, I won't be able to do it.
Okay, I will email you his email address.
So send me the email address, and most of them I know the name, but if you send me the name and the email address, then I got it. Then I can just go ahead and get that over, and we can get it taken care of.
Okay. Ken, did you hear me?
No problem.
Okay. All right, excellent. All right, and the only thing I would add to that, Tia, above what you said is, I think there was some miscommunication also. So I know Nikki was the initial individual that asked, but I think it's because she just didn't have all the information, or she would have been able to, she wouldn't have had a need to ask. Because I've talked to quite a few South members that indicated they're not absolutely sure they're getting all of the information that's coming out of our meetings as well as international. So that's the reason why I asked Cigar Mike if somebody from the South can sit in on these messages, on these meetings, so that they can get the information back to the South a little more timely, in case, Mike is not there to present the information with them. But that's what I think. It was just a breakdown in the communication. Andre and them didn't have all of the information, nor did the South. So for that reason, there was questions. But I think moving forward, we should be okay, as long as everybody knows on this call everything that we discuss that's not that needs to be taken back to your chapter. Please make sure it gets taken back as soon as possible, definitely by your meeting or during your meeting, so that everybody has all the information and the information is not lagging when it gets down to the members. Now, not all our information, so that's why you need to listen to the recording and pick what you need to pick, needs to be discussed. But the majority of it, we got to make sure all of the chapter gets all of the information, the same information, whether they like it or not, whether we like it or not. But everybody needs to get it expeditiously, so it won't be so much confusion.
Okay, and saying, let me add to that also, the South DM did get the information at that time. So the South and received it. It just that there was a transition in that. So once there was that transition, then it was up to the new DM, which is Cigar Mike, to provide that information to the South. So
and I'll take that.
And you also got to remember, when the information is put out, it's not on whomever is putting it out if you don't look at it. So y'all got to make sure, as the DMs, that's part of your responsibility, is when the information is sent down, then you got to peruse through that information, and then you have to get it to your chapter. And that's where, even if it's just something coming from Cigar Mike to the DMs, if it's something coming from international to the DMs, or if it's something coming from you to your chapter members. If you put out stuff and your chapter members don't look at it, that's not on you. That's on your chapter members. They have a responsibility to look at the information and to gather the information. If you put it out, you can't force them to look at it, but you got to make sure that you're at least putting it out. So I just want to make sure that we're mindful of that as well, that as leadership, we have a responsibility to our chapter members to make sure that they get it. And sometimes some of the chapters didn't get it because the leadership just didn't do it. So we need to make sure that we're handling that in that manner as well.
Miss, I'm sorry, Tia, were you finished with your
yes,
statement?
Yes.
Okay. Miss Satari has her hand up.
I just wanted to address, we actually did make a mention of that, and I corrected Nikki on that in our South. We had a meeting last week, Wednesday, our executive members, and we gave them a preliminary schedule. We gave South a preliminary schedule of what we were going to discuss. And part of that international dues was going to be on there. So we directed Nikki to go back to her notes because she kind of over all of us and went straight to you guys asking about that and didn't read her notes. But we did address that. We did talk about it. And I think they're just so used to just kind of jumping the gun and not like seeing what, you know, coming to us and doing the direct chain of command. But international dues, all of that was discussed and said it was going to be discussed. Our first meeting is not going to be until this Thursday. So we did address it. I don't know why she tagged you and George to bring that up, because we said we were going to talk about that. So we have been getting the information. I know it has been like a different chain, but we've been getting information sent down and we've been putting out the information in our group meets. It's just like you guys said, if they're not taking the initiative to read the group meets, it kind of falls on them personally and not on us.
So
a lot of people are guilty of that, because if you do, and some days I take some time out and read through group meets, and there are questions and issues put in there that if you just scroll back, the answers are right before you even made a comment. So I think just encouraging some of the people to go back and really read. If there's important information in there, just asking from time to time, is everybody up to date on the information that's available in the group me now? So that way nobody comes back and go, oh, well, I didn't know about this. Okay, scroll back 2 days and it's right in front of you. And I'm saying that, Georgia wide, because I see instances like this just pop up, and it's basically somebody just didn't take the time to read.
Cigar, what I might add to that also, I think if us DMs get in the practice of making sure our chapter members know to put your question in the chapter chat room first. Before you ask something in Georgia, make sure you ask it in your chapter and maybe didn't get a response to it. But all questions first should go through the chat, give the deputy mayor an opportunity to address any and every question. And then maybe if they don't get an answer, the deputy mayor might tell them to put it in Georgia, or the deputy mayor get the information for them. But before they put questions pertaining to what the GTG is doing, they need to ask their deputy mayor first in their own chat room.
Right. And outside of the South, only because I currently hold the deputy mayor position, questions that are put in the Georgia chat are really something that should be discussed with that particular DM first. And if there's not an answer to that question, if Shan doesn't have an answer, she can easily just pick up the phone and call me and say, okay, Mike, what is this? It's not, because it becomes fodder. Once it hits that chat, it becomes fodder, and then a lot of the bees start buzzing around it. And it's for the people adding stuff, or well, why, and I could have did this, and I just got my car washed over there. Nobody cares about that. The question was this, and if you ask that question to your DM, it probably would have got solved right then and there. Because there are very few things that y'all even have to come to me about. So if you ask the question to the DM, if it's too much of a question and it comes to me, it still does not need to be in that chat. If you're trying to start some shit, that's where you started. But if you legitimately have a question to ask, then ask in the proper manner so that it can be addressed in the proper manner. Because if I answer back in the chat and you don't see it, like most people don't do, then the question still ain't answered. Then 2 days later, you ask the same damn question.
Yeah.
So I can continue as far as international updates. So with the dues, in the notes, there's a specific window of when chapters were supposed to submit the dues to international. We are pushing that back. So at this point, we're pushing the actual beginning date back. Again, we will meet on next Saturday, so I'll have more on that. But at this point, I would suggest, since it is already January, I would suggest that the chapters, however you collect your dues, that you go ahead and add the $10 for international with that. And then at the time when we send out the notification to the DMs of how they can transfer the funds over, where they need to transfer, and all of that. When we send out those instructions, then you will already have the funds for your chapter members to send that to international. That's just my suggestion. And I'm saying that because the $10 will not change. Right now, the only thing that's changed is the window to submit has been pushed back. You all, the DMs will get more information on that. So just wanted you all to be mindful of that. And then also, as far as international announcements, and this is just for you all right now, we are working with a webmaster right now because, of course, I'm sure you all have looked at the website and I've looked at it, and I'm not pleased with where it is at this point. And so therefore we are working with a webmaster to get that updated. So it won't be a turnaround of tomorrow, but we're working on it, and so that will be updated. Our plans are to house documents there, so that if you need to pull up documents, if you need something, if you need resources, then it will be there, and it will be there with so that you'll be able to utilize a DM password to go in and get GTG specific items that have that has nothing to do with the public. So we want to make sure that you understand that will be password secured.
Right.
And also, in addition to the website, we have some other things that we're looking at, but wanted people to be mindful that I know one of Nikki's questions was how many views are on the website. I mean,
was
at
Gemini.
this point, no, Nikki asked that question.
Oh,
Gemini
okay.
asked about active and inactive.
Okay.
Nikki asked how many views and what electronic management system. So I want to make sure that you all understand it does not matter if it's one view. There's still a fee for the website. So the website still has to be maintained. It still has to be updated. So regardless of how many people look at it, regardless of what goes on, the website is not going away. So we still have to pay for it. That's just like several of you all are business owners. You still have to pay a fee if you have a website. So regardless, it's going to be done. I hope you can help your people to understand that. As far as the electronic management system that we use to collect the dues, it doesn't matter what we use. There's a fee for all of it, regardless. So we'll need to do, as far as why the dues are being collected, just as an example. So everything for the national, for our convention, the Vegas convention, Nate paid for out of his pocket. So we had an actual convention room, we had AV system, and those of you all, you're in organizations, you know what that costs, okay? So all of that totaled up to almost $900 that Nate paid out of his pocket. We just so happened to have one of the Vegas chapter members that works at that particular hotel. So she was able to get a discount, but she wasn't able to get it for zero, and she wasn't even able to get it for half. So therefore, it's still, that was money that came out of Nate's pocket. So you have to understand, and I'm sure San can truly understand, because San and I have paid a lot of money just for GTG ATL and GTG Georgia out of our own pockets. So you understand that, and even though he's done it, that's not his responsibility. This is our organization. So understand that the $10, there's not a whole, you can't even buy a premium stick with $10. Okay. So want to make sure you understand that point. And then Dre, I'll take your question before I move on.
Can I add something to what Miss Tia just said, please? Because it's like I said before, $10 is such a small amount, because my initial, I said 50. You know what I'm saying? Because there's even with the $10, there's still going to be other expenses that need to be covered. with regard to this, this is a huge, huge organization. And everybody enjoys the fruits of it being a huge organization. And we travel here and there. GTG was everywhere, and we was all this and we was all that. And to ask for $10 is nothing. It's a waste of time to have a conversation about $9.99. That I don't get. You understand what I'm saying? Because yeah, there's a website. There are other things that come out as pertain to GTG. You know, there are people doing a lot of stuff for free and out of pocket. And for an organization this vast, with as many resources we have, to have a conversation about $10 is a complete waste of time, in my opinion. So I just wanted to add that to what Ms. Tia was saying, and we can go on from there.
Okay.
Go ahead, Dre.
Tia, all right, you all, as leadership, and as Tia mentioned, I'm in a few different organizations and been in leadership, both professionally and civically. What we have to do, we have to convey the value of GTG to our members, because we're going to have some members that are going to ask specific questions. And I'm going to start with the first part that Tia mentioned about Nikki asking. The reason she probably asked about the number of viewers, because there's a certain bandwidth that comes with the website. If you don't have that many people that are visiting, if you don't have that much information, you don't need as much bandwidth, so the cost will be different. That's one. So we have to be data driven in GTG from the top down. Number two, we have to convey the value of it. People are going to ask specific questions, you all. The larger we get, the more detailed these questions are going to become, and people are going to be like, yeah, and you say, okay, like for instance, here's one thing that came up when I shared the information. Because I told them exactly what you told me, Tia, like at the convention, they had to pay for the room, and he shouldn't have to, and I agree. But guess what? The first thing one member said, they said, well, okay, when we was ordering shirts, we got charged shipping on every shirt, but they all came in one box. So I can't defend that. How do I defend that? So you all have to give me information that I can defend that these are the different things that some members are going to bring up. And then the $10 as far as dues, like Mike said, it's not a whole lot of money, but you have to convey value. So when you tell them, so we get a chance to fellowship, hang out, we smoke, they don't see that as value. And that may be the wrong organization for them. I'm just saying, as a whole, as leadership, we have to be able to convey that. And that's the fact of, this is GTG is a network where you can do this, you can do that if you're a business owner. But I think we have to be more data driven. We can't be vague. We can't be broad. We got to be more data driven and minute down to the macro data so that people can understand those that are more detailed versus others. Because some enjoy the fellowship of smoking and hanging out and going different places. But then you got others that as we grow and we add on different responsibilities, they have questions. And so us as leadership have to be able to down meticulously to the data to like convey that. Because if you say, refer to your DM needs the data from up top to be able to convey that. And what'll happen, even if you tell them that and say this and say that, then you have dissension in your chapter. Then you got dissension in the organization, and we don't need that.
Okay, so you brought up the shipping in response to Nate having to pay the the convention. So that those are two different things. Okay, so what we have to pay for the convention has nothing to do with the shipping. Okay, that has nothing to do with that. But the way that I will address the shipping to you. So as our chapter, this is what our chapter Atlanta did. Okay, so when Tia saw that you're paying $6 for each person here. So what Tia knows is if I go to the post office, for me to ship a package, it's gonna be between $12 to $20, depending upon the weight of it. Okay. So if I got two people, then I know how much that's going to cost. I know how much those two shirts are going to cost. So what Tia did was if Tia had 15 people, well, I say if Tia had 10 people that ordered shirts, and it could have been however many shirts,
Mm-hmm.
Tia wasn't paying $60. And Tia let International know it doesn't cost $60 to ship. Now that's how Tia handled. So Tia didn't send $60. Tia sent how much it cost for priority shipping. Tia also told International, you all need to look at priority shipping, because Mark was sending boxes, just regular mail, and not using priority. And like I told him, priority, I don't care what you put in there. The price is the same regardless. All you got to do is choose which size box you're going to use. So that's what I did. Now, if you got 30 people and your 30 people done paid $6, that's $180. Who in the hell paying $180 for shipping? So therefore, then that's a conversation to me between the DM and leadership. So I let my DM know, no, we're not paying that. So therefore, Tia had a conversation with that. So that's how I'm gonna address the shipping part. But now also, you don't have to worry about that because you don't have that shipping now. So I do understand that as well. So I get, yes, the DMs need to have the information. And that's why I said, talk to your DMs. Because once the information comes from International, it's going to the DMs. Everything is put out to the DMs. So then the DMs will know how to address whatever in their chapters. As far as what does the $10 take care of? The $10 doesn't take care of you to sit here in Georgia and fellowship. Because do you have does your chapter pay dues, Andre? Do your chapter pay dues? Do they pay dues now?
Yeah, of course we call it donation, but yeah, we pay quarterly. Yes.
Okay, but you can call it dues now. As of the convention, you can call it dues now. That's what came out in the notes as well. So when you all pay those quarterly dues, you know what it has to pay for something, and you know what it pays for, right? Your chapter members know what it pays for. So that's the same thing with this. So at the convention, we gave information on what the $10 would cover at this point. And what we gave, it won't even be enough to cover all of that right now, as Mike was saying. Again, Mike has been in other meetings to tell, hey, these are the different things that we're going to do. When you look at as far as upgrading the branding, the marketing, doing collaborations with these cigar makers, with different lounges, with owners, and all of that, there's certain things that we need to do. Also, becoming an LLC, looking at having a nonprofit. Those are the things that's in the notes. That's where we're going. That's what we're trying to do. So in order to do that, we can't do it for free. We can't say, Cigar Mike, okay, you the ambassador, you gonna take care of this, and this, pay this out of your pocket. Or we can't, if that's the case, then we're gonna come to the DMs, all the DMs, then y'all just pay this out of your pocket. No, we come into the chapters, all the chapters pay, all the members paying the same thing. So that's where it's coming from. Now, as a DM, if you can't see that, or as a chapter member, if you can't see that and you don't understand, and I get if you're not told where it's going. And I get the question even about the bandwidth, but by the same token, there's still a fee that you still have to pay somebody to maintain it, because Andre not volunteering his time to maintain it. You want to volunteer your time, then it'll be free. If you got a chapter member that want to take care of it, let them do it. Because see, it's a lot of us that's doing volunteer stuff and doing more than what we would normally do. So if they want to do that, then that's free. Then we don't have to pay that. But right now, we have bills and we have to pay certain stuff.
And keep in mind, I didn't have the
In
notes.
line with what
So
T is
keep
saying,
that in mind.
that becomes a problem in and of itself, because when you're not getting paid to do stuff, you do it in your own time.
Yes.
So when an upgrade needs to be done, you can't say, man, listen, we need this upgrade done, or we need this more bandwidth, by next Friday, and people not getting paid. They're gonna do it when they get around to doing it. But what they're gonna do? Get fired?
That part. And one thing about it is Tia tries to coax So I buy more cigars than I need. So when we need something and I can't handle it, my DM can't handle it. I know what you like to smoke. Can you take care of this for me? Let me give you this. Let me do a barter over here because we got something that we need done. I know you like this. Let me do a barter. So maybe we can do that. So it's different stuff that we can try to do, but everything ain't about the barter system. People want to get paid. I got people, I have professionals that have come to me, want me to do stuff, but you want to wait to pay me. No, my time is valuable just like everybody else. Now you want this done, you need to pay me.
Well, I mean,
I'm not in disagreement with you all. I just didn't have the full notes, you all. So I'm not in disagreement.
So can I come in right here, y'all? And then I got to get us back on time. It's 4:40. We haven't even got to number 3. But to your response, Andre, that information as to the required $10 and the purpose for the $10 had not only been given to us in November after the convention, it was given to us at our last town hall with Cigar Mike. If you look at the notes, if you listen to the notes, it was on the agenda. I put the purpose for the for the $10, and we talked about it on our call with Cigar Mike the last time we met, which was a couple of weeks. I don't know when it was, but we had the information. It should have been given to the members. So I don't agree with you that you didn't have the information Nate sent you, but you had the notes from our last town hall with Cigar Mike, where that was on the agenda. It's in the recording. It was discussed. So for nothing else, you had the reason. Exactly what I copied and pasted in Group Me is exactly what was in our agenda at our last town hall with Cigar Mike, and it's exactly what came out in the notes from International. So we've always had the information. It's just that all the members didn't get it.
I'm not disagreeing with that part, saying that I didn't have the information. I shared with them the $10 and why. But once again, you all have to keep in mind, from International, they want to see document. Okay, what was in the minutes? Like we go to a meeting, I didn't have those notes. So we go to any professional meeting, you're gonna have plenary sessions, whatever. You're gonna have ratifications, you're gonna have votes. When did this hit? So that's the information I'm talking about. Not the fact that I didn't know $10 dues were coming. Not that part. The part where what was decided at the convention. I didn't have that information. So I conveyed to them after our town hall with Mike that we had dues coming. Then once the name tags, I conveyed all of that. It was just the fact that what was discussed and what was voted upon at the international convention that I didn't have, and now I got it with those notes. So when we meet on this Thursday, I'm going to cover, not this Thursday, Tuesday, I'm sorry. When we meet Tuesday, I'm going to cover everything that was ratified at the convention.
Okay. All right, Tia, can you one more thing, give us a little information about that calendar of events so that all the DMs will know clearly what is expected to be put on that calendar?
Yes. So the calendar of events is so that whatever is not, hey, you have a member's birthday. We're not doing that. We're doing the chapter events. And then also, GTG Georgia has events that all 4 chapters have. So those type of events are to be put on the calendar.
The international calendar, right?
On the international calendar. That's the wizard that I sent. I sent you all a text and I said, go ahead and update your information on this calendar, because that calendar will be also transferred to the website. So that, it'll be the same information that it's just going, you'll be able to go in and update it from the website. But right now you're doing it. You have the password. It's a regional password that you have. So we just want to make sure that you add your chapter events on there. And it could be, this is your chapter fellowship. If your chapter fellowship on this day at this place, that's fine. Because we could have somebody in Timbuktu that wants to come to Atlanta on Tuesday, and now they know this is where GTG ATL West is meeting over here. And that's the good thing about Atlanta. We got 4 chapters meeting on 4 different days. So if somebody comes in town, then, they have somewhere that they can meet those 4 different days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then most times we always get together the weekend or whatever and decide where we're going to go. But at least that information can be on the calendar. And then the the other thing that I also wanted to address from an international standpoint. So for international, what constitutes active and inactive will be you are active as long as those $10 dues are paid for you. You are inactive if $10 has not been submitted for you. Now, again, my suggestion is for the chapters. If you currently have dues, add that $10 to what you currently have. And then those are your dues for the year that the chapter members have to pay, i.e. Atlanta. Our chapter dues are $50. So then our members will need to pay $60. Once they pay that $60, whenever international tells us how to transmit the $10 funds, then we will transmit those funds for those individuals. Those individuals who do not submit their dues, then they will be removed from our active chapter group me, and they will be placed in an inactive chapter group me, which we had started already anyway. So our DM was already doing that. So they will be placed in that inactive chapter group me as well. Those individuals that are not active meaning they've paid their dues. If they're not active, they come out of the GTG Georgia group. So they will not be in that either. So they won't get, that different information and all of that. So just want to make sure that you all understand that portion of it. International is not telling you as a chapter, as a DM, what to do in your chapter. We don't have any control over that. The only thing we're telling you about is these individuals are inactive if funds have not been submitted to international for them. Now, if this was discussed at the convention, if you as a chapter, you just want to submit the $10, you're not worried about your dues that you normally have for your chapter, that's on you. If the people don't pay and you're telling them, hey, just pay me this $10 and we'll take care of the rest, that's on you, because then that means your active membership is on hold in your chapter. But we as international have nothing to do with that. As well, you all should have already received, well, I know you did receive an email asking for your 5 officers. That's the DM, the ADM, the sergeant at arms, the treasurer, and the secretary. That information should have already been submitted back to us. So that's step 1. The next thing you all will receive is an email asking you for a listing of everybody that's in your chapter. Everybody. I don't care if they come, they don't come, whatever. We need a listing of everybody that's in your chapter. That's what's going to be the next thing. And then guess what? After that, when you have to submit $10, we'll know who's active and inactive in your chapter. You don't have to tell us, because we know who we get the $10 for. And we know who all you have on your roster. So we know who's active and who's inactive in your chapter. And we'll be able to move forward from that point. So at this point, if you want to start collecting that information as far as everybody that's in your chapter and all of that, then you can start compiling that, because some people don't know, but you can start compiling it, and we will, that will be the next thing that we will ask for. And hopefully everybody here, as far as Georgia, has responded to that email and submitted all of their officer information. When I say officer, I'm only talking about the 5, because that's all that we're looking at as the officers. Your DM, your ADM, your sergeant at arms, your treasurer, and your secretary.
All right. Any other updates? It's 4:48, and we got to get through the rest of the agenda.
But real quickly, I would like to stress the activation of this word dues.
Mm-hmm.
They're no longer a donation. They're dues, which means it is due. You understand what I'm saying? So before we were very relaxed on it, and when I first started the situation, I had to ask for forgiveness and not permission. It's different now. So feel free to activate that word properly, you know, with your members. Like, hey, our annual dues are due. Our yearly chapter or quarterly chapter dues are now up. You know what I'm saying? It's not a secret. It's not hush hush. It is that it is an actual reality for GTG International and going all the way down into the individual chapters.
All right,
Yeah.
good to move on.
Yes, ma'am.
Excellent. All right, number 3 on the agenda. Let's talk a little bit about the GTG Georgia recommended event ideas for discussion. So basically what we want to do is take a look at these events. Some of these are what we have been doing over the last few years. And then a couple of them have been suggestions that have been brought to me. Either I think one of them from my chapter and another one is from the East, I believe. So we want to determine whether or not we want to do these things again. And then later on, we'll expand upon it as to when and how we're going to plan for it. But for the purpose of trying to figure out our calendar for the year, we need to see if these are some of the things we want to do. We've always had the August anniversary weekend, that first weekend in August, or the second weekend in August.
First weekend.
First weekend, okay. We want to talk about if we want to do a Georgia-wide community involvement initiative or initiatives. One of the recommendations is can we do a once a month Georgia fellowship, like on a Friday specifically is what they were requested, so that we can all come together for one big fellowship once a month. Then we have the holiday gala, the annual boating weekend, which is always in May, and then a twice a year hook day, a Georgia twice a year hook day. We always do the one in August because it starts it's embedded in our anniversary weekend. And then another suggestion is maybe doing twice a year, means every 6 months, doing another one in February. We either tie it to Black History Month celebration hook day or something in that 6 months later from August, as a way of pulling us all together for one big hook day. So what are your thoughts on any of this? Should we continue some of the ones we've been doing, or what you think?
I like what we've been doing. I'd say I definitely want to continue that. And if there's more to be added, if there, let's say a monthly gathering, and I would say in the coming months, I would say a day party on like a Saturday.
Okay.
Because the problem here is we have a lot of venues, but everybody's packed on Friday.
Okay.
Don't nobody need another 150 people on any Friday at any venue in Georgia, any cigar venue.
Mm-hmm.
So
you're
I
talking
would
about
say,
maybe doing that once a month fellowship on a Saturday, day party, make it a day party. Okay.
Yeah, throughout, let's see, but because it's after football season now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So no college games, things like that. It could be a Saturday, perhaps a Sunday, but I think those are going to be, but coming from my standpoint as a promoter and a marketer, those are going to be the easier times to go into some place and identify, okay, y'all not doing much business. We can come here and, make a difference in your sales on that particular day.
Yeah. Andre, Kenyatta, what do you all think? And we won't be offended if you don't want to do it. Just give us some feedback, because once again, we are the cheerleaders. When we take it back to our chapters, we need to sell it.
I'm in agreement. I'm good with it. I think that the more that we do get together as Georgia, the more camaraderie we will have between the 4 chapters, and people see that it's not a competition between the 4, because a lot of people look at it that way, unfortunately. And that's what brings on some of the seclusion between some of the chapter members. Not really, they'll participate with their chapter, but they don't participate when it's a combined thing for GTG Georgia.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so then I guess it's okay then. Basically, with everything we have up here, it's just that we need to map it out and determine how we're gonna do it. Or is there anything you want to take off?
You
Well,
have a
so
comment.
put in
Okay,
Sky
what's
put
comment? Yes,
Sky
ma'am.
put a comment in there.
Okay, let me look and see. I closed that. Should it be quarterly instead of monthly? You talking about the fellowship, Sky? 'Cause
All the birthdays and stuff that we have going on, should we make something quarterly so it doesn't seem as packed out? And then it makes it, I think it makes it more special if we're doing it, once a quarter, and it's something we can look forward to instead of once a month.
that's a good suggestion. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, I'd say two things come into play. With all the birthdays and things that come up, I think that monthly may kind of serve better so that they can kind of, help celebrate their birthdays within that instead of a whole bunch of separate parties. And it actually cuts down on when done properly, it actually cuts down on the individual expense of having a birthday party and say, hey, well, we're all going to be fellowshipping at this spot over here, but it's your birthday, then cool, then you just grab, a section or a couple of tables versus, having to rent a venue, balloons and bottles and all that stuff. So both sides can be looked at, because even if it's quarterly, I can pretty much say that for the bulk of the birthdays in that quarter, there'll be a lot of people still trying to squeeze those birthdays within that event as well. So I think it's something to be discussed. So I wouldn't say, even as EDM of Georgia, I wouldn't say right now to make a hard decision whether it's monthly or quarterly. I think that's something to be discussed among the DMs.
And we can take it back to our chapters too to get a little more feedback. We've decided that we are going to have a fellowship, one big Georgia fellowship, and whether or not we should do it monthly and incorporate everybody's birthday that month. That'll make it cheaper than incorporating everybody's birthday quarterly because you're gonna have more birthdays to incorporate. But then come back with how we want to do it. So yes, I'll put that option out there too, Sky, for when I take it back to our group.
Well, also something to look at, the DMs may want to think about, maybe rotating the DM that's in charge of that particular fellowship. So that way there's a rotation within the service area. So it's not just, okay, that once a month fellowship is here in Atlanta all the time. But if we rotate the DM that's in charge, so in addition to your regular fellowships, then you have one DM that whether it's once a month or whether we do that quarterly, then that DM is responsible for that fellowship in addition to their regular fellowship, and they're bringing the other chapters, the rest of Georgia, to that particular fellowship. That way you don't have to worry about, let me get with this DM to see if they want to do this. Let me get with this DM to see if they want to do this. You just know that this particular DM will handle it for that month and let them handle it, or their chapter handle that fellowship. And then the other chapters just bring their people to be a part of it.
Now, thank you, Tia. That was a part of the recommendation. I failed to, the person that brought it to me did recommend we rotate and bring it to the side of town of everybody's chapter as we doing the rotation. So yeah, that's an excellent idea. But we can flesh it out and plan it out. I just wanted to find out, first of all, if that's something we want to do. So we will keep everything as it's presented right here in the plans to do, which will put us up with our first twice a year hook day. If we're going to do that, will be in February. And that's month after next, right? No, that's next month.
Next month.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So
in a few days, really.
Exactly. So then that means that we'd have to I get with the DMs and we plan it out and determine how we're going to do. Now, only reason I put August and February, because if we're going to do it twice a year, we definitely do it in August with the anniversary weekend. So 6 months from August is February. So just so happen it's coming up in February. But once again, if this is something we decide we want to do, we're going to start next February, we can do that too, DMs. We just have to make the decision. And I'll follow up with you all within a week or so after I meet with my group this week. All right. Any other feedback or comments on that? Because we got one more minute and that takes us to our last item. Open out anything that's open. Go ahead.
I have a question in reference to the boating weekend. Can that weekend be moved up? Does it always have to be that last weekend
of June? No, it don't have to. What y'all recommend?
I think that third weekend is Father's Day. That's why we always pushed it back, because it always ended up being on Father's Day if we tried to do it that third.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. We definitely can't do it on yeah. I don't know why we ended up with that one. Then I guess other stuff that was going on earlier in the month is the reason why we always had it at that particular date. But anything else about those?
No, ma'am.
All right, well then open items. The only thing I had on here was, if Mike, can you share with us again what the minimum expectation is for all chapter officers? I know when you phased that in, that first year, it was, I think, so many meetings and then 2 trips internationally. Or no, not internationally, 2 trips outside of Georgia. But then the next year it was going to be something else. So again, this is what will be expected of all officers across all chapters in order to be eligible to be an officer next year. What is it, Cigar Mike?
Well, I think as what we put forth last year, I think that was pretty good, which was it was it like 60% of the meetings?
Well, it was,
yeah, you said 6 meetings.
Yeah, 6 meetings.
6 meetings.
Meetings, not fellowships.
Not
6 meetings.
Yeah, 6 meetings per year.
Uh-huh.
You have to be present at. And I think with the entry now of 2 trips.
Yeah.
Right, because I think an individual who's been with GTG a couple of years, I think everybody should have been on at least 1 trip to Charlotte or somewhere, by now. And I don't think that you really get the true meaning, the true feeling of GTG until you've been on one of those trips and see what it really looks like internationally.
And to make sure it's 2 GTG trips outside of Georgia, because it may be a Cigar event, but it's not necessarily a GTG trip unless that particular chapter adds a hook day to that event or something. Then that makes it a GTG event.
Right. So let's say Charleston, Tampa does it as well.
Yeah.
Charlotte.
Charlotte. There are a few other chapters that will. The DMV Super Herf has a hook day attached to it as well. So something like that, and they're probably between there are at least 4 to 6 opportunities throughout the course of the year for that to happen.
Okay. Any questions about that, you guys? And it's up to us deputy mayors now to make sure we monitor the compliance with that.
Now, I will say this, and we're in talks right now to see where the international convention is going to be next year, this year, whether we're going to keep it in Vegas or not, because there's a Formula One will be in Vegas around that time, and that will drive prices up exponentially. However, as far as GTG International goes, we would like to see a good showing, especially from the officers at that international event. We would love to see a phenomenal showing from the group members as a whole. We do have an amazing time, but we would like for the officers that are available, and the time of the year is usually approximately the same, around the second week in November. But we would like a great showing from officers from all 4 chapters that are in Georgia.
So if I can ask Cigar Mike and Tia, if you all have any influence over the decisions with that, highly encourage them to look at moving it around to some locations that's a little cheaper than coming to Vegas. Because that was a lot of the concern from a lot of our chapter members was flights were just too expensive, hotels were just too expensive. And once again, this volunteer for everybody, and everybody don't have travel expenses like other people. So
Right.
that could help if they could just move it sometimes to a city that is not so expensive to get to.
Right.
Well,
And
this is,
but
oh,
here's
I'm
the
sorry.
other thing. I'm sorry, Tia. The other thing is this. Most of those expenses are controllable. Now, with the convention being in November, if you buy your ticket in October, it's probably going to be expensive.
Yeah.
If you're planning to go and you say, okay, well, we'll have made the decision hopefully within the next couple of months, but you will have 6 months. If you're going to go, then okay, well, hey, we're going to do we're going to Vegas. So let's look into tickets. Cause I'm telling you, y'all don't like Spirit. I'd have been to Vegas for $100. You know what I'm saying? We have the suggested hotels. That was about 170 some odd dollars. I did not stay there. My hotel was $70. So, you know, there is that, but we will be implementing more controllables as far as the expenses for the event. But Vegas is as expensive as you make it.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And it's all in timing. Once you've made the decision, hey, I'm going to Vegas, that's when you look up your tickets, or you acquire your tickets, or and it'll be like that anywhere, whether it's Miami, whether it's wherever.
Well,
You're
the beauty
still gonna,
about it being maybe not Vegas, let's say Miami, it don't take but a couple of hours to get to Miami on a flight.
right.
You also have to take under consideration, because for some, we can't come up there and spend the whole week in Vegas. I can get
Right.
up there Friday and I got to come back Sunday. But a
Right.
4 and 5 hour flight to get there and back, that even if it costs me $500 or $700, to me, that's too much money, and I'm not going to be there for 2 days. But
Right.
I
And your
will
family
make the
can't come.
exception. I'm thinking about the other individuals that may not, number one, have the money, or number two, just think it's too expensive for such a short run just to participate in a meeting.
Understood.
So let me interject here. So as far as the reason why it's been in Vegas is because of Big Smoke. So if you recall, when GTG started, so what they decided then was, okay, we'll meet in Vegas at Big Smoke every year. So that's why they were doing that. But as we've grown, and now we can make a difference in a city as far as an event and all of that, then that's why, as Mike was saying, we can move around, and we don't need to be attached to Big Smoke anymore to do that. So that's where we are at this point. And so that's why we don't have to be there the same weekend as Big Smoke, because even with it just being Big Smoke, that increases the prices of the hotels, because that's a huge cigar event. So it just we're looking at moving it around. We're looking at, but you also have to be mindful, because here Sam may say, if we go to Miami versus going to Vegas, you got to remember we have chapters all over. So Miami may be closer to you, but then you got people in California and Vegas. It's not as close to them as it is to you. So we have to be mindful of that as well. So we'll look at all of that and try to we will not be able to please 100% of the people. So that's to be understood.
But you can try to make it equitable, because having it in Vegas every year is always convenient for the California folks, and it's always inconvenient for us Southerners. But if you move it around where everybody at least one time will get the benefit of it being closer to them, that makes it more equitable.
That's what I just said. It was always attached to Big Smoke. So it wasn't about it being closer to the other chapters. It was about being at Big Smoke. So now that we don't have to be attached to Big Smoke, because we have enough members and we have enough where we can basically, again, be at an event in whatever city, then we can move it around. So therefore, or even if it was in Vegas, it doesn't have to be the same weekend as Big Smoke, which will still reduce the prices, because you're not on the tail end of that. So that's what we're looking at now, that we don't have to be attached to Big Smoke, so we don't have to incur those expenses. Because even with Miami, you're gonna have expenses. The hotels are expensive in Miami, regardless, whenever you go. So same thing there. But you know, we're working at that, looking at that, and you know, the ambassadors and the international officers are discussing that.
Yeah. All right, Sky had a recommendation she put in the chat group. Is can we possibly do a GTG executive retreat similar to what ATL had to keep us all on one accord? You know, I'm open to it, but for me, it's gonna require leadership and guidance from Cigar Mike. I'm just being honest because if not, I know I'm gonna probably end up being the one to put a lot of work in making it happen, and I'm not the leader of Georgia. So in order for us to do that, Cigar Mike will have to take the lead in that. From my perspective. Now I don't know how everybody else feel about it, but that's what I would need because I got enough work trying to keep up with ATL.
Hey, I will. I don't have a problem with doing that. I would say in our executive groups, if everybody wouldn't mind helping me out with submitting some potential dates.
Okay.
And then we'll go forth from that point.
Is that something you want to do, Ken and Andre?
Definitely.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Okay. All right, well, we're gonna need some leadership and guidance from all of us.
Okay, so we're looking at a base number of 20 people.
So when you say for that's us and all of our officers, right?
That are available, and that's what I'm saying. I'm looking at a base number of 20 people.
Okay.
It'll probably based on availability, it probably is going to go down a little bit, but yeah.
Okay.
So, Mike, when you're saying the officers, are you saying the 5 or are you saying whatever officers the chapter has?
The 5. The 5.
Okay. All right, well then I tell you what, I will talk to my group this week. How about we all talk to our 5 this week to get their a good date that will be available for them, and then we'll compile our dates to find if there's some commonality and get back with you, Mike.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and let you know, and then we'll just take it from there and develop the agenda, and so on and so forth.
Are there any months that the DMs know right off, hey, we're not doing it this month, then you can go ahead and take those out, because I'm sure you all probably might not want to do it December or July, because you're planning for August. But I mean, I'm just just throwing something out there that if y'all already know, hey, we're not doing these 2 months or whatever, then you won't have to even worry about those for when you talk these chapters.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll follow up with everybody.
That's the tough part of the month.
What's that, Andre?
Finding a month, because we got April, we got July, August, we got conventions and stuff. That's gonna be the tough part there, trying to find a month that fits everybody.
I would say, look, and I don't want anybody to feel squeezed, but if we're gonna do strategy and planning, I would say make in the next couple of months.
Yeah, I mean, I did mine in January because I know we need to have a plan in place that we're gonna push out for the year, and so we're ready to roll at our first meeting in January. That's why I organized ours to take place early January, so that by the end of January we had something to give back to the chapter to inform them as to how we're gonna move for 2023. So if it's for the purpose of us coming together to plan Georgia for 2023, we got to do it in the next in the next 30 days, to be honest. If we want to align it to what we're doing, because otherwise we need to just wait till next year and do it later in a preparation of planning for next year.
Well, I would say take it.
So then, if it's in the next 30 days, look like it needs to be in February.
Yeah, I would say take it to your individual groups. Oh, well, take it to your officers. Let's see them, because I think it's also a great time for if we're going to do a monthly or quarterly fellowship, as well as getting the planning out of the way for the anniversary. I think we can take care of all of that in that block of time.
Absolutely. So let's look at February. Would there be a time that's not, is February open to you all?
It's open to Andre because he just put the date, the months that he could not do, and February wasn't on there.
Okay. All right. And so if February is good for you, Ken, then let's take it to our chapter to find out it needs to be on a Saturday or a Sunday, simply because you can't do this kind of work in 3 hours. Take it from me. We had 5 hours and it still wasn't enough. We getting ready to finish tonight. So I say we'd have to be willing to sit down anywhere from 5 to 8 hours. So you need to incorporate some lunch and a dinner. If we want to start it and be done with the plan at the end of it, then we need at least 6 to 8 hours. Okay? Which means we need,
I'm gonna say as long as it's not the weekend of the 18th, 17th, 18th. My son graduates college that weekend. I'll be in LA.
Well, we're gonna be in Dubai, so it can't be that weekend.
Okay.
Anyway, so we're talking about either the first, second, or last weekend in February, right? First, second, or last week. We'll take it back to our team members, our 5 people, to find out whether we want to do it a Saturday or a Sunday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you really can't do that last weekend because the first week, I mean, the third weekend is when you're going to Dubai, and the last weekend is when you're coming back.
That's so yeah.
When most people are
coming back to Monday.
Yeah.
So y'all, we down to just the first or the second weekend in February. Is that too soon? Is that too soon of a turnaround? Let's just take it to our chapter. Give them the first or the second week in February, and at least see if they will be available. And if they are, then we'll come up with a location.
Is anybody going to Black Smoke? Y'all know Black Smoke come up that weekend just in case anybody going to that.
Black Smoke is the weekend we in Dubai, right?
I believe it is.
Yes.
Yeah. Then we clear that.
So that was already out.
Yeah, we clear that if we do it the first or the second weekend in February. We should be clear Black Smoke and any other trips.
Yeah.
So
if we do it the second weekend, it need to be that Saturday. Because that Sunday is the Super Bowl.
Okay, gotcha. All right. So we're looking at got this. Sky, you get this down for me, please. So the choices now are either Saturday or Sunday of the first weekend of February or Saturday of the second weekend of February.
Got it.
Okay. Everybody clear on that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Say that one more time. I'm not clear. Say it one more time.
So we're checking with our chapter 5 to see if they're available to do it Saturday and Sunday of the first weekend of February, or just Saturday of the second weekend of February.
Okay, gotcha.
All right, and then we'll follow up when we after the end of the week when everybody had a chance to meet with their group.
So the 4th, the 5th, or the 11th.
Okay, good. Thank you. 4th, 5th, or the 11th.
Yes, ma'am.
Make sure you let them know it's gonna be anywhere from 6 to 8 hours meeting. And the location, it hadn't been determined. We got to first find out if we're going to do it. All right. Anything else? Thank you for bringing that up, Scott. Any other recommendations or questions for this open? Otherwise, we're 17 minutes over our time, but I think it was very, very needed. I appreciate you all. I think this is definitely going to benefit us in the long run in order for us to all stay on one accord and make sure there's no divide or to at least minimize the divide a month or across all the chapters.
I just want to say that if you all have anything that I need to take to our international officers meeting this week, then if you could go ahead and get that to me, then I can you can email me or you can text me, if you have questions or bullets or whatever you want discussed, so that I can bring that out at the meeting, then please get it to me sooner rather than later. And then if you are sending names to be added for the leadership group, then please go ahead and text those to me, and then I can go ahead and get that done. If you can, I would rather have those today.
And then you need the name and the email address, right?
The name and the email address.
Okay.
And Andre, you put Scooter's in the chat. Can you just text it to me as well, and text me his actual name? I got the Scooter pod, but text me his actual name.
All right. Anything else, anybody?
No, ma'am.
I heard you, Tia. I heard you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all hearts and minds are clear. Then Cigar Mike, you can close your meeting.
I'd like to thank everybody for their time. I am in agreement with saying this was wonderful, and let's keep doing this once a month. And I see a lot of positivity and a lot of growth coming from this. So I appreciate you guys as individuals and as a collective. So let's just keep it going.
Okay. All right. Good night, everybody. Y'all have a good rest of your Sunday.
All right now.
Good night, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night, John boy.
All right, good night, everybody.